Over the past several years, I have probably done the training that I'm about to do for you right now at least 100 times. This is my system for getting your listing sold. And when I got into real estate, uh, I didn't do things the way every other agent did. I looked at the task at hand and came up with ways that made sense to me. This methodology that I'm going to take you through today is my system for getting your listing sold. And I want to take you to a place of thinking very strategically about getting your listing sold. And I want you to think about, how does a home really sell? NAR statistics tell us that 75% of listings sell because an other agent brings us a buyer. 15% sell because someone in the neighborhood suggests that the buyer look at that home, but it's still through a co-broke agent. So 90% of homes are going to be sold through a co-broke. You're only going to sell your own listing 1 out of 10 times. If you do amazing, and if you're outside of the norm, you might sell a higher percentage of your own listings. But the average is 1 out of 10, you're going to sell your own listing. So if that's the case, you need to think about how you're marketing to other real estate agents, because they have buyers. So you need to start to think strategically, and don't just be the agent that puts their listing on the MLS and hopes that another agent is going to see it and hopes that your listing is going to sell. This is extremely amateuristic, and this is not doing your seller a service. This is doing them a huge disservice. And I'm going to take you through the step-by-step of how my days on market was 20% of everyone else in my marketplace's days on market. I did this training just 3 weeks ago. 2 agents were very specific about wanting to get this training so that they could implement it and get a dog listing that they had sold, or a listing that they hadn't even gotten showings on and they were having trouble, the troubled listing. They both sat through the training, they both took notes, they both did the same things in preparation. One of them implemented it exactly as I set it out. The other one cut corners. The one that cut corners, that home is still on the market, and actually they just lost the listing. And the one that implemented this exactly as I'm going to tell you had multiple offers on a Tuesday from doing these things on a Friday. And this was a home that hadn't even been shown. So here's what I want you to do. I need you to create a database of agents that have the highest likelihood of having a buyer for your house. Now, this is not easy, but it is simple. You're going to start by searching the MLS for the 20 most similar properties close to your listing. So when I say similar, I'm talking about similar price point, similar square footage, similar features. You're going to need to use your judgment and your intuition of, if you had a buyer who approached you about your listing and they didn't like it for whatever reason, what are the 20 homes that you would then show them if they came to you based on this listing? So open up your spreadsheet program, whether it's Excel or any other spreadsheet program, search the MLS for those 20 most similar properties close to your listing, copy the name of the listing agent, their phone number, their email address into Excel or into that spreadsheet. Now, once you've done that, call these agents. Let them know about your listing and ask them a couple of favors. You want to ask them for the list of agents who have shown their property. You want to ask them to come to your broker open house, and if they want to do a group open house with you. You want to ask them if you can market their listing on your flyers, and you want to ask them about their listing because you are going to have buyers who contact you and might like their house more. Now, I want to take you back to the very first point. You want to ask them for the list of agents who have shown their property, because You've just gotten this listing. The people who have shown this comparative property, unless they're going back and researching, don't know that your property has come on the market. You want that list of agents so that you can market your property to them, because they currently have buyers that are looking for a house just like yours. Based on what happened on those calls, so 20 calls to 20 different agents, you want to plan your broker open house. So are there people from that call that want to do a group broker open house or a tour open house with you? If yes, then you want to plan for that. If not, if you're doing your own broker open house, base that on those 20 phone calls that you did. You want to do a broker open house, you want to do it during the day, and you have to cater it. Have a local restaurant cater it, or have a title or mortgage company sponsor it so that it costs you nothing. Next, you need to create your email blast list for the broker open house. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to search the MLS, stay in the MLS, for the 20 most similar pendings. So the 20 most similar properties that are currently have a status of pending. You also want to search the 20 most similar solds. You're copying the name, phone number, and email address of those listing agents into your spreadsheet. You also want to search for all similar properties in the MLS that are more expensive. So I'll give you an example. You've got a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot home that's listed for $150,000. So every single listing in the MLS that is a 2-2 with 2,000 square feet that's more than $150,000, you want that listing agent on your email blast list. Now, what I do is I go from 160 up. So if there are 60 properties or 70 properties, that's a good number. You don't want 5,000 properties. If you're underpriced against 5,000 properties, you're probably not in this situation where you need to do this type of marketing, because you're the cheapest, you're the best on the market, people are already showing your property. So you want to pull that list and put the names and phone numbers and email addresses into your spreadsheet of all the similar properties in the MLS that are more expensive, because there's a high likelihood that the buyer that agent showed these properties to is going to be able to show that same buyer your property. You also want to look at equidistant communities. So if you live in, let's say you're in Toronto, and you've got your listing is in Mississauga, which is, I don't know, 20 miles to the west, and your, say, Pickering or Markham is 20 miles to the north or 20 miles to the east. You want to be marketing to the listing agents that have similar properties in those equidistant communities, because there's a high likelihood those agents aren't looking out in Mississauga, but their buyers might be willing to live in that equidistant community. The other thing that I want you to look at is the distinguishing features of your listing. Is this a listing that has a phenomenal pool? Is this a listing that has an amazing master bathroom? Is this a property that has an amazing lot in a cul-de-sac? And then what I want you to do is search in the MLS for similar properties that have these similar distinguishing features. Put those listing agents into your database, because they have been getting buyers calling them and contacting them because of these same distinguishing features. Now, check your database. Are there agents that are showing up more than once? If you've got agents that are showing up 2 or 3 times in your database now of 300 or 400 agents, call them too. Also, call your pendings and solds. Call the pendings and solds that are in the list. What you want to do is ask them a few things. You want to ask the pendings if they have multiple offers. If they did, ask them who the agents were, because your home might be a property that buyer would want to see. Don't skimp and not make these phone calls. These phone calls are what are going to get your property sold. All right, next, email your listing and the invitation to your broker open. Resend your email to your database every week. This database is going to have new buyers. Now, I also want you to search for the 20 most similar properties to yours every week, because there are going to be new properties that go into that database, and you want to be calling those agents because they are going to have buyers that are contacting them, and this is after you've already gotten your listing onto the market. All right, this is key. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. You need to do a buyer's agent bonus. Here's how you do it. If you've got a listing that you've taken this listing and it's a $200,000 listing, I want you to go back to your seller and I want you to ask them if they would take $195,000 for the property if you had a buyer right then and there for $195,000. If they say yes, then ask them to do a $5,000 buyer's agent bonus that you don't qualify for. Let me repeat that. You don't qualify for this. If you bring them a buyer, you don't get the bonus. Tell them that. Because they need to know that you're not doing this to line your pocket, that you're doing this to help bring a buyer and help bring in another agent that has a buyer. Incorporate the fact that you're doing this bonus into all of your marketing out to other agents. Word it properly. A full price offer gets you a $5,000 bonus. If you don't do the bonus, you're not going to get the attention of these agents. So let me just go back and review. Do a bonus. Create your database. This is going to take you a few hours. This is not simple. You're going to need to be creative. Make your phone calls. You need to call the people who have the most similar listings to yours. You need to call the agents that have pendings in the system that are most similar to yours. And you need to call the most recent solds. These agents have the highest likelihood of currently interacting with a buyer who could want your property. Now, I want you then to think about integrating this system and talking about this system into your listing presentation. Because everyone talks about how they're going to market that listing on the internet, how they're going to market that listing in print media, how they're going to market that listing in the newspaper, to their office. This system, this marketing system out to other agents in the marketplace has nothing to do with bringing you a buyer. It has everything to do with bringing your seller a buyer. This rings true to your seller, to your lister. This is one of the reasons why I went on 132 listing appointments using this exact strategy and got every single one of those listings when I was an agent. Thank you very much for your time. Once again, this is Dreamweaver. If you got value from this training, check us out, www.postfuser.com, igniting your social media and helping you get more transactions using your social media. Dreamweaver out.